All right, so that concludes our establishing effective local observation networks. I would like to invite, on staying on the topics of climate change, Karen Sonnen from the U.S. Department of Agriculture was able to fly in last night, and she's here to talk on behalf of the Effective Science Communication presentation.
My name's Karen Sonnen. I'm a range specialist with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which is under the United States Department of Agriculture. Okay, so the Natural Resources Conservation Service, or the NRCS, provides assistance to private landowners. So we don't have our own land that we manage like Fish and Wildlife Service does, or BLM, or State of Alaska. We are here to assist private landowners with their natural resources, and we do this through two ways. Technical assistance, which is free. We will come out to your land if you're interested and give you assistance on problems you're having or give you some advice that's voluntary. And then we also have financial assistance that we give, and that is through a program called the Environmental Quality Incentives Program that I'll get into. I'm getting ahead of myself. We provide technical assistance and financial assistance to agricultural producers. And historically in the lower 48, that looks a little different than it does in Alaska. But an agricultural producer is anyone who's producing food or fiber, and subsistence use is included in Alaska, and that's a recent change. So again, our technical assistance, we are invited onto your property by you. We'll come out and give you an assessment, talk about what you're having problems with. And we also have a soil survey area of our agency, and they will come out and map your soils. And that's something that we've got a lot of soil mapping in Alaska, but there's a lot of areas that are not mapped. And that gives you a lot of information on your resources, soils, vegetation, the potential productivity, what areas are wet, what areas are good for building on, that kind of thing. So that's something that everybody needs to be aware of, that's something that we can provide to you free of charge. When we're doing our technical assistance, depending on who we're giving the assistance to, we'll come and talk with you and work with you on hopefully developing a conservation plan. If we're working with an individual, like in this case a reindeer herder, we'll come and try to get them out in the field with us and talk about what we're seeing, and they can tell us about their knowledge that they have. I learn something every time I go out. It never fails. So I'm a range specialist, so I work a lot with grazing animals and all the different kinds of grazing animals you can see up here. Hopefully our technical assistance will result in a conservation plan, and what that is just something for you to document what you want to do and a timeline of when you want to do it and where you want to do these things, and then we will give our advice on how to do those in a conservation-minded, sustainable way. The financial assistance that we provide is through the Farm Bill, most recently the 2014 Farm Bill, and it's through a program called the Environmental Quality Incentives Program. And this program is specifically for problems, environmental problems related to your agricultural land. So it's not a prevention program. We can't do things to prevent problems through this program, and we can't do things to help put people into production, but it's for solving problems. So to be eligible for this program, you've got to have control of the land that we're applying the practice on and be an agricultural producer. Again, subsistence is included. So some things that we have done in the past are fencing. So we can't do boundary fence, but we can do cross fencing. If someone's got grazing animals and they're having trouble with distribution or too heavy of use, we can help with cross fencing and management to keep the grass healthy. Another thing we've done, this is Sitkinak Island. We've helped with fencing, excuse me. What was going on here in the first photo is the animals were congregating in the lower areas all summer, and that really is their good winter range, and so beaches were eroding. We put in some fencing and moved the animals off during the growing season, and had some great results. They could still use the area in the winter time, so it was a nice result. Other projects we fund are trail improvements. So if you've got wheelers that are going across a stream, maybe an anadromous stream, and causing sedimentation and problems with the water quality and habitat, we can help with putting in bridges in this case, example. This is an area near Homer where I live, and had a big mess with wheelers accessing areas, and so we were able to help with putting in a trail and getting the wheelers up off of the wetland. We also fund projects for wildlife habitat. So in this case, we're doing some measurements on a stream, on a perched water table, or a perched culvert. And so we can help to put in a better culvert that's going to allow fish passage. Another practice that we have is the seasonal high tunnel. This is a relatively new practice, and I'm going to talk a little bit more extensively on this one. Their purpose is to expand the availability of healthy, locally grown food. So to apply for this program, you've got to have control of the land for the life of the contract, which is usually 5 years, can be as many as 10 years. Be an agricultural producer and have a cultivated site. So you've got to have your ground prepared in some way. You can put potatoes in the ground and that works, or even prepare the ground and plant an annual oats to turn back into the soil to help with soil development. But it's got to be considered cropland to apply this high tunnels on. And I've got some photos of one being installed near Kodiak Island. We've got ribs spaced at 4 feet apart. They're putting in on the end caps, which can be hard plastic or wood. They can be made of just about anything, and then the top has to be a translucent material, either plastic, can be hard plastic or flexible plastic. You can see there's the end product, freshly done. So our requirements for these high tunnel kits are they have to be from a manufacturer. You can't build one yourself. It's got to be a minimum of 6 feet high at the center. We have requirements on the plastic that goes over it. You've got to grow in it for 5 years. And you've got to consider some other things like ventilation. So here are some examples. There's no size limit on these, so they can be small, they can be more narrow, or they can be wider, whatever's going to work for you. They have roll up and roll down sides. So here's the sides rolling down for ventilation because they do get pretty humid and can cause mold problems with produce. This one is an example of one that has 2 layers, and it's got a fan that's blowing air in between, makes it a little more rigid and holds the heat a little better at night. Shed snow a little better. Raised beds are allowed up to 12 inches this year, but things have to be planted directly into the ground, so we can't have tables in there growing your produce. They've got to be planted into the ground. So the cost share amount, as you can see, for off-the-road network right now is $7.92 a square foot. That's how we pay on a square foot basis of the high tunnel area the high tunnel is covering. So about $16,000, and it's a reimbursement basis. So you would order it, you would put it up, we would come and measure it and reimburse you based on the square footage. Now I know out here in the Aleutians, wind is certainly an issue, and so we'll talk about some things that we might consider. Not every location is going to be good out here, and I'm well aware of that, but maybe there are some that would work. Location is going to be very important. There are different strengths of high tunnel kits out there, so you can buy a pretty weak one for a cheaper price or a very strong one for a higher price. Support trusses are things that you can add on to keep the strength, improve the strength of these structures. Anchoring, of course, is always very important, and how you set it up related to the winds. The covering, we have some options for covering, from flexible 6mm plastic to more of a woven material to one like this. It looks like almost like bubble wrap. And all the way to a greenhouse grade hard plastic. End walls need to be lined up for the prevailing winds. We want the winds to hit the end walls and not the sides of the high tunnel for maximum sustainability. As long as it's okay with the manufacturer, you can do your own modifications on these. So this is a lady from Nome, Ann Davis, a reindeer herder, who also has a high tunnel, and they have 80-mile-per-hour winds yearly, pretty predictably. And what she has done, the cover was ripped off the first year, and what she's done now is placed 2x4s every 4 feet going along this high tunnel and attached the plastic to those, and she's having great success with that. this might be a good option for folks in high wind areas. These geodesic domes, they limit the amount of area that's taking the full brunt of the wind. Another option for mitigation is straps. This is on Sitkinak Island, south of Kodiak, and these straps keep the plastic from flapping, to keep it a little more secure. With any structure that we install, it's no good without management, so management needs to be a part of the plan. Keeping things secure, not leaving doors open when a wind is coming, so it acts like a kite, that kind of thing. Removing snow. So here's some of the areas that we have high tunnels installed, and so some of the harsher areas. Maybe some areas similar to the Aleutians. And I'm going to show you some pictures of what's growing inside of them now. It's kind of exciting to see. We've got corn and beans and some amazing produce that's being grown inside these high tunnels. Tomatoes, peppers. Even our more of the traditional outdoors kinds of crops that are grow better inside the high tunnel. Garlic and green beans, pretty neat. It's exciting to see what's going on. They're very popular around Homer, in south central Alaska, where I'm from. And I'm hoping we can maybe expand their popularity to more of the edges of Alaska. So I know that's really quick, and there's a lot more information that I haven't been able to share with you, but I'm here through Friday. I've got to run to Coon Island on Saturday, but I've got a card and I've got information if you're interested in more. Thank you so much.
Sorry about the technical difficulties.
That's okay.